Ladies and gentlemen, we'd like to get underway.
No.
Well, hey everyone, welcome to Coming of Age.
Welcome, guys.
Welcome. This is our little Legion minisodes. We're talking about chapter 10 today, and whether you like it or not, we are the voices in your head right now.
We are.
And this is one voice. This is Chase Cummins.
And this is another voice. That is Alan Loosebrough.
And are we lying or are we telling the truth? We're a little more straightforward this time around, actually.
I think we are. I think this episode answered a lot of questions that I was having.
And it also took the plot a lot further.
Way further.
Which is awesome.
So awesome. This episode also made me ask a lot of questions. And I'm starting to question myself on where the fuck this season's going to go.
Yeah. But it made you ask less questions that are like quizzical to the actual like plot of
what's
the show.
happening in
like,
front of me.
You're just like, because that's most of the feelings I feel. Even like last week, I feel like I missed so many things because I was trying so hard to think so much like, okay, I'm gonna need to like know this, I'm gonna know this, and I was just like, oh my god, this is so confusing, and I forgot everything that happened. But I watched it again, and now I'm like, oh, okay.
Well, when I watched it the second time, the first episode, the second time, I followed it a lot easier.
Yeah,
I followed what was happening a lot more, and I don't know if that's because it was the second time I watched it or because we talked about it right afterwards.
I think it's because I get excited. And it's exciting. It's in front of me, and I'm like, oh yeah. I'm not.
You miss things, yeah. I definitely miss things. There are several things I missed in the first episode before we recorded that I picked up on the second view.
It's great, but this episode starts super fucking colorful and kind of like a carousel, like the top of a carousel.
I think that's exactly what it was.
Yeah, but it like turns into Lenny's sucker as well. Yeah. She's like licking it, and it's David and Oliver and Lenny all on this carousel, and they're just like talking about like they're kind of negotiating the plan of like getting the body back, kind of. Yeah. They're like, all right, you gonna do it? Like, shit.
Yeah, it immediately starts with there being like at least they're telling the audience that David is cooperating with
exactly.
Farouk.
He is talking to them.
And that is like the person he's like talking to when he keeps like asking if they think he knows or if they know what's going on, if they know everything in the first episode. You realize he actually is colluding with them.
Yeah, exactly. It's great. And then it goes to that scene with Oliver in the field.
Yes.
And it's like, you've seen it later in the episode as well. It's got this little fortune teller stand there. It's like the astral field on the astral plane where like it kind of shows you that he's been talking to Farouk. Later on you find out. Like, kind of seems like a meeting place. Yeah. You know?
It's like they're meeting their spot in the astral plane. Yeah. It's in the astral field.
And he goes up and he's just talking to himself and being silly Jermaine Clement and being awesome.
Amazing. Yeah.
It's like if Jermaine Clement and Jeff Goldblum were in a movie together, the fucking world would explode.
Yeah. Oh,
it's just
man. Oh, I want Jeff Goldblum to be in Legion now. You've got that in my head. It's the egg. You've planted the egg.
If he was just like, I feel like him and Carrie would like do some shit together. Like he would be another scientist or something. But like I feel like that role is already filled. Like Jeff Goldblum is so weird, but like there's already like Carrie's such a weird.
Carrie's awesome
guy. Oh, I love him.
I love when he's doing the stuff. The stuff with David in the tank, and he's dancing every time.
Oh yeah. Like using like fucking 1/4-inch cables and doing modular synthesizer.
Yeah, I know, making that music and making that fucking brain music, man.
Yeah, that's awesome.
It's awesome. It's what a cool way.
Also, when in this episode, when both Carries were like morphing back together and they were like doing the weird like wave thing.
Oh yeah,
like with their arms. That's so cool.
That was awesome.
They do some weird stuff.
It was also weird how they merged this time.
Yeah. Well, here we get that in a second. We get that second. We finally like find out that the androids are called Vermilion. I don't know if that's a thing in a comic. They talked about that though. I think Tonomy was saying that. Him and David are having a conversation.
Is that his name? The
Tonomy,
guy who can read dreams.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay.
Yes. And they were just kind of talking about them. He's like they don't trust me. Like, shit. Like, how many of them are there? And like just kind of little facts about them. And then we get that like hallway scene of
Oliver and
Lenny like walking through, dancing and like
turning people into
jive
ash.
into each other, turning people into ash or dirt or whatever it is.
Yeah, and pigs.
Yeah, and fish.
And fish. That's awesome.
And it's like the music is so like haunting in that. It's like from a scary movie.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure.
It was awesome.
There's lots of like synth music in this. Like it reminds me of like a toned down John Carpenter score or something. Like a stripped down John Carpenter.
I feel like
score.
John Carpenter is very stripped down. He's so stripped down.
I know, but it's like even more because it's just like bass sounds with a little bit going on in the back. I mean,
I guess so. Yeah,
it's like really stripped down synth, but it really sets up mood.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
it's so awesome.
I love it.
And like all the hallways and everything.
Well, the way they shoot the hallways is crazy, and I don't know how they do that.
From episode 1.
Yeah. The lens they're using or something, it just makes those hallways look. And the fact that they're using these lights.
We can't even like talk about the production of the show because it's just in every episode. It's so good. It's like,
yeah, we and when people who are listening to this have seen it, so we're sorry, guys. You are appreciating the same visuals.
Yeah, we just I guess we have to mention it. We're just like, what the hell?
Like, that looks crazy.
So David is talking to the Vermilion, and they're talking about like where he's trying to find his body, and they start mentioning the Migo order.
Yeah, the monks.
The monks, like in the Migo order, and like they knew where the Shadow King's body was when it got like put away. Like they were like
the monks were the ones who took the body, and, they hid it, and they hid it. One of those monks would know where it is, and that's why he's trying to find one of the monks. But supposedly they've been eradicated, or they've been destroyed, or whatever. And there's none left. But
they mentioned Miser Sunday as a name. I'm pretty sure that's what they say. They only say it one time. And he's like, who? And they're like, oh, like, they don't like say it again.
She literally goes, it's before your time.
Yeah. And I'm like, well, they mentioned a name.
Yeah, that's probably going to be important eventually. It's a reference to something. But the androids seem to, at least to me, seem to think that they knew where the monk was.
Yeah.
Like there was a monk that they were hiding.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Like a singular.
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure. I think, yeah. It's definitely meant to be that way.
Yeah, I think so.
There's a motherfucking monk out there. We're going to find him next episode.
Well, and I think the end of this episode really showed that. Yeah.
Absolutely. That's totally what's going to happen.
Yeah, for sure.
I can't wait to find the monk. It's going to be John C. Reilly from
God.
Anger Management.
Yeah, that'll be hilarious. I think they showed the monk already, though.
Oh, did they?
Yeah, it's the guy at the end
in the room. Okay, so that is the monk. I didn't even think about that. I keep on thinking that guy is like another entity of Amahl Farouk. I've thought that since now.
So I thought that,
but
too.
I didn't even think about him wearing monk clothes.
Yeah, and he was wearing the monk clothes in the club, and he sees him in the club, and then
buena.
So
he's just kind of traveling through. No one's really. I don't know. It seems like David has noticed him
for sure.
But
okay. So I feel like that club is part of the astral plane. Like the way that they present, like obviously they found him in a club, so like they're making reference to a physical club in the first episode. But it seems to me that like his communication with Oliver and Lenny in the club was part of the astral plane, and the monk was there and part of that experience. So almost it seems to me that the monk may be able to enter the astral plane.
Yeah,
and he's like
absolutely
communicating with David.
He's like almost observing.
Yeah.
He's like just strolling on through.
Exactly, and he's aware that he's aware of who's around him, but he's just watching. Wow,
so interesting. I'm gaining new insights right now. But so with this in mind, David's trying to get ahead of Farouk, and like he's not trying to figure out where he is now because he's getting tricked. So he's trying to figure out where he's going to be.
But he wasn't being tricked. David wasn't truly tricked.
Yeah, that's
he was
true.
including.
Oh my God, yeah.
David was in on it. Mm-hmm. And so I want to know what the fucking music box was with Sid.
Yeah.
Her reaction to that was just so interesting. They focused on it.
Yeah, that was really interesting.
And she brought it up again later and said it bothered her.
And dude, the transformation with like the mirror into her child self and how much it looked like her in her eyes, I was like, what?
It was great.
It looked so good.
It was great.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
I loved that.
It was awesome.
But that's what he says. David says he's going to try to get ahead of Farouk. And then they do multi-dimensional perception.
Okay, so that part where he tries to get over the dimensional planes or whatever, and he ends up going into some kind of future astral plane and communicating with future Sid on a multi-timeline. Okay, I want to know what you think about this, but it seemed to me the way she answered his questions about him that he wasn't necessarily dead, but that version of him, like the nice him, was dead. Like he didn't die, he turned evil.
Yeah, for sure.
I feel like that's what she was talking about, and so she misses the sweet
absolutely
David.
That's absolutely what it is.
Yeah, that's what I thought. That
it
what
has
she was
to
saying.
be.
Yeah, but I feel like I think he's going to turn evil no matter what. That's the crazy. I think he's in this weird corner where he's going to end up having to compromise his values, and he's either going to become evil after killing Farouk and then something else happens in that timeline, or he's going to help Farouk and Farouk is going to ultimately lead to like Sid's death or something like that, and he's going to turn evil again anyways.
Yeah, there's not going to be awesome balance. It's going to be the scales are going to be tipped
in some way,
and in a probably very tragic way.
I feel like it's going to be more tragic. Mm-hmm. Like at least in the other timeline, the one where he turns evil but Sid's still alive, she's still alive and she still loves him. But I think the tragic situation here is she's going to end up getting killed because of him trying to save her. And then Farouk's going to twist it, and it's going to be the delusion. What if that's the delusion? I don't know. This show's crazy. This show's fucking crazy.
You can theorize all you want.
I know. You can go anywhere. I realized right when I said that, I was like, now you could take this anywhere.
It's interesting.
Yeah.
Oh my God. But we didn't even talk about the scene that I actually want to talk about that leads up to the Carrie like morphing together scene where it goes awry. So when Lenny and Oliver are going through the hallway and like invading Division 3,
yeah,
pretty much turning all the kids into shit and like telling her to run away, and then they run into Carrie. Remember?
Yes.
And they fucking girl Carrie jumps out and is like, and,
come on,
and guy Carrie's like, I'm scared, and gets fucking pulled through the ground
by Lenny,
and just insane shit's happening. You're like, oh my God. And so he like gets all fucked up from the spoon. She like taps his spoon and he like shakes, and then Oliver gets huge, and it's like weird, like kind of, it reminded me of the scene in American Gods
Yes.
Yeah, the sex scene.
Yes.
Where she gets really big.
Yeah. Into her. Yeah.
It reminded me of that kind of shit.
It did look a lot like that.
Because it didn't look like he was like, it looked like he was trippy big, like not like actually big, but like metaphorically big on the screen. Yeah. Like it was weird. He was just towering over her.
Yeah. And I think it was like him representing one of her biggest fears. She like gets frozen and can't move, and then he becomes larger than her and something she can't possibly hope to defeat. And that's like her biggest fear, is feeling that helpless. I feel like that's what he was doing. He's like fucking with her.
And then they morph back together when everyone gets back together.
But it's wrong.
And it's wrong. And there's an arm sticking out. And then also it's just it's more in girl Carrie.
Yeah.
The womanly Carrie is the body, the vessel that they both travel in now.
Yeah. And they hate it. They both hate it.
Yeah, they both hate it a lot. They have such a great vibe. I love them so much.
It's a great character. Dude. It's such an interesting character.
And I love that one scene where Carrie is talking to David, and she says, "Oh yeah, that he said that's okay." And he's like, "Who said that?" He's like, "Oh, I have voices in my head too." Like kind of like thing where it's like you're like David almost forgot. Yeah. Like that she was also like, he was just like, what the fuck are you talking about?
Yeah. And it's like, there's another personality in there. There's so many people. You said it after that happened. There's so many people in the show that have voices in their head.
Yeah. It's so interesting. And I loved that scene where David's just like, what like,
yeah.
He like forgot.
Yeah.
Just like merely because it was like flipped around. I don't know.
Yeah. He's not used to it.
It was a great joke. I love the humor is awesome.
There's a lot of humor in this episode. There was a lot more humor in this episode.
Most of it has to do with like David's like just his demeanor and personality.
Yeah.
Just like how he takes things and like reacts to things.
He's playful. He's kind of like Spider-Man a little older. Like he's got that playful
dark, very
darker. But like his attitude, I'm talking about his attitude more than anything. Is like he makes little jokes, and like he's kind of happy-go-lucky for the most part.
Yeah, like in very intense situations.
He takes things in stride.
Cracking up.
He's always like cracking smiles when he's about to go to the astral plane and shit. It's like he's having a good fucking time. And whenever something weird happens, he'll just be like, whoa, what was that? I don't know. He's got this.
Like do a weird eyebrow raise and look around.
Makes a one-liner. Yeah. I mean, he's a little funny.
You got waffles?
Yeah, the first thing he says, waffles. It's my kind of superhero.
So when he goes through that multi-dimensional perception thing, and
you mean the 2001: A Space Odyssey sequence?
Yes, where it's all the pink neon light, and then also his face just morphing in the water.
It's so cool.
It was great, and the music came back. It was kind of like that dance. Like sequence music. It's so good. I love that. It's a great so much. Yeah. I'm happy it came back.
Yeah, I think they're probably going to bring it back a few more times. I feel like it's going to be like a theme, like a musical theme through the season.
Yeah. And then so he literally goes in the future.
Yeah.
And is talking to Sid.
Which is this audio, the sound design on that is great.
And also he's like staticking through it. Like it's like the connection isn't fully clear. I love that so much.
Yeah. I mean, it's so good.
It's so good.
I'm so glad they introduced his time traveling powers in the show. It makes it so interesting.
Oh, it's fucking amazing. And he literally was just like, all right, like I'm going to do this.
I love that he tries to read her mind, and then it's just a little too much to like read the mind of someone in the future.
In the future, yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I was also reading that he kind of fucks shit up in the comics, like from time traveling.
Oh, I know. I've read a lot of that.
Him and Barry Allen are like kings of fucking shit up.
They've like fucked so many timelines up. And then they're just like, whoopsies, and they fix it, kind of.
We're gods.
Yeah, they can do whatever they want.
So let's try to fix it. It got worse. Whoopsie daisy.
Oopsies. He's an anti-hero in the comics, though, I think. Like, or mostly a villain.
Yeah, he kind of flips.
Yeah, he goes back and forth. I was reading in the comics, he like he has all these variety of different powers, but he's like actually schizophrenic, and so, or has multiple personalities, and so each personality has a different set of powers. And that's why he has so much. And then he eventually gains, like, he gets like a device that allows him to control and switch between those personalities at will. Yeah. And so he can finally, it's like his power is having all of these other personas that he can choose from.
And he can control them.
And that's when he becomes more of like a hero and less of like a fucking crazy person fucking shit up all the time. Yeah. But he's still kind of like plays against the rules.
Mm-hmm. And his hair in the comics is so great.
It's awesome.
It honestly, like, they did pretty good. Like, you can kind of see it there. Yeah. But it's like, oh my God, it's like the Cramps.
He's got that crazy like big hair. Yeah,
I love that so much. It's totally what it reminds me of.
I wonder if they'll ever do that in the show, like season 4 or something. He's like just full on fucking nuts.
Or like even if it's just like some scene that's like a little psychedelic or something, where they like stretch his head out and his hair like goes like that or something. Just like That'd something small where it's like, hey,
that's him in the comic books.
That'd be cool. That'd be very cool. I can see it. But Sid and David are talking. Future Sid and David are talking, and she's like, I never thought I'd see you again like this. And it's just like, that's like some intense shit. Yeah. And that's when they start talking about him, like kind of you're getting the vibe that he's either gone evil, like he doesn't seem like he's dead, because she says like, you're not dead, you're different, right? Yeah, something like that. And you're like, yeah. And she's like, I miss you when you're sweet.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Not a sweetie anymore.
It's the wording she uses that makes it sound like that he's not physically dead, but that personality is basically gone.
And then he's unrecognizable. She like brings up a new threat pretty much.
But it sounded to me like it would be him. But then I don't know if that's accurate or not.
Yeah.
Like, but he might be part of the he's like what's killing everything.
Mm-hmm. It's very strange.
It's so crazy. That would be nuts. Okay, so that would be nuts if it's him killing everything, and then he ends up stopping himself from killing everything only to become evil again. I mean, I don't know. There's so many different ways they could take the show. But
yeah, there's a lot of...
It's like definitely, I think they're definitely entering into like multi-timeline. I mean, they already have now. Yeah. There's like the potential for 2 different timelines, but I feel like they're gonna really like go crazy by the end of this season.
I love it. It's so great. Fuck.
It's just a show where I have no clue what's gonna happen next.
Mm-hmm. And it's so fun to just talk about what could happen, and then also just watch.
And then just watch and see what they do. Because no matter what they do, it makes sense. Like, at least so far, everything they've done, it leads into the next decision. Like, there is like a thread there that you can grab onto, and you don't have to reach really far to find it.
Yeah, exactly.
But when you're done with an episode, you're only partway through the story or whatever, you're like, I have no clue where this thread is going to take me. I can only guess.
Yeah.
And usually I'm wrong.
Hopefully I'm wrong.
Yeah, I like to be wrong.
Yeah, in a good way.
Yeah.
And, you know,
there's some shows where you're just like, I know it's either going to be this or this, and then it ends up being one of those things.
Yeah, and he's like, well, like, what the fuck, new threat? What happened to Amahl Farouk? It's like, you killed him. And like,
when you bashed his brains in.
You bashed his brains in the desert a week ago.
A week from now.
A week from now. Yeah, that's what I meant. A week from now, in his timeline.
Yeah.
And she's like, what?
Yeah. It's like, holy shit.
That's next Tuesday.
That's when we watch again.
That's when we watch. That's when we get to
Legion. That's when we get to see the peek into the Legion world.
That'd be so funny. That's how it works.
Yeah, that'd be great. It's like things were happening in the 6 days we're not there, and that day we just literally just what happened.
All right, guys, we finished the episode. It took us 6 days. It's like South Park.
Yeah, 6 days there.
It's super easy to do a show like that.
Yeah, so easy.
Oh my god, that was fucking insane for me though. Like when. Like, because I don't think that's going to happen. I don't think he's going to kill Amahl Farouk.
I don't think so either.
That way.
Now he's got Sid on his side in the present. because he tells her what was going on, kind of. I think that something else is going to happen.
Yeah, I think so as well. And also they're kind of, I don't know,
but
they're kind of joining up.
There's so many things that are throwing me for a loop. So like when they introduce Amahl Farouk and you finally get to hear Amahl Farouk talk in Amahl Farouk's voice, at least from what we think is Amahl Farouk's voice, I liked him.
I loved him.
I loved him
so fucking much.
I want to see more. And there was something about him that made me think he was like he kept his word to a certain extent. And when he was like, especially when he was like, if you help me, I'll owe you a huge debt. And it's not something I take lightly. There was something about his character and the way that he was presented that was accurate, that he's not fucking lying. And you can believe that as like, he's not being unreliable. And that changes everything for me in my head, because now he becomes an anti-hero to a certain extent.
Yeah, I suppose. Yeah. Because he's like making compromises within himself, you know? And yeah, it's very interesting.
He's like making compromises with whoever he has to make compromises with to get what he wants, but he'll honor those choices, I guess. I don't know. It's interesting. So I don't know if that's actually how they're going to play the character, but that's what I got out of that scene. And that complicated things for me, because now I'm like, well, I don't want Amahl to die now, because I want more of that fucking guy.
I love that fucking guy.
That was awesome.
He's so awesome. He's like flipping in between. I couldn't tell, like
I almost want him to become David's
I thought
mentor.
he was speaking French for a second.
He was.
He was speaking French?
Yeah.
Okay. He was like flipping back and forth.
French and English.
And I don't know, some of the scenes, it just didn't even sound like French to me. It's probably just me.
No, they were doing this weird, like, he was going back and forth in a weird way. It's where it almost felt like he was speaking in one language.
It was it was a little strange.
It was cool.
It was very cool.
It was very cool.
He's like talking about how they're both gods and stuff, and like we're the creators of our reality.
Yeah.
Like we can fuck reality. What is reality? Like, what are you talking about? And he also they refer to him as like the tapeworm. Like that's like his title.
Yeah.
As well. Ooh shit, girl. And
oh shit, the tapeworm. You got a tapeworm?
Like talking about. He brings up John Lennon, which I thought was honestly like kind of weird. Like is this like
bigger than Jesus? Was the
exactly.
Yeah,
exactly. He had to mention John Lennon to get to Jesus, but I was like, John Lennon, like who you don't fucking care who John Lennon is, right?
Yeah, I think he was just making a point.
It's from a writing perspective, not a God perspective. Like, don't mention John Lennon and Jesus, dude. You're bigger than them. Come on, man. Write a song about it. But then they do their little dancing, wrestling thing, and that's pretty fucking awesome too.
That was awesome. And then the way they challenge each other was awesome, with like him going, you're playing the wrong game, and then turning into a samurai, and then David turning into a tank, and then him turning into a tornado storm. I was just like, this is a cool escalation of things.
Yes. That was so awesome. Him turning, oh my God. Into the tank. That was just so funny too.
Yeah. It was hilarious.
Yeah, it's fucking hilarious. And then like at the end of that scene, so he's like, they're like, all right, let's find your body. I agree. I'll help you find your body. No more killing.
Yeah, he makes him promise not to kill
And he's
anyone.
like, all right, fine, I promise. And you're just like, oh, I don't know. But it kind of seems legit.
Yeah.
Kind of seems legit.
It's going to be interesting to see what happens from now on. I feel like Hamish Linklater is going to become, or the interrogator is going to become another enemy again. It's going to be like an ongoing thing.
I love him. I feel like he's like, it's so weird. Like there's so many characters that are kind of riding the line, you know? Mm-hmm. It's not like they're bad or good, but they have their own agenda, and they're suspicious of everyone else, you know? Like everyone, especially him, obviously. Yeah. They literally mentioned that. He's like, your job is to be suspicious. Yeah. So everyone is a suspect.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah, he calls him out, but then he's like, he's still right.
Oh, I
As
love that
viewer, you're
line.
like, you know
I
he's
love
right.
that line when he's like, I thought you were bad guy. It's like, that's funny. I thought you were the bad guy. I'm like, I love that. That was so awesome. Oh my God.
I thought you were the bad guy.
Oh my God. That's so awesome. Oh, okay. So also the John Hamm excerpt that we get this time around.
Yeah.
We're talking about perception, and he's talking about like hounds and the ticks, and then he goes on to humans, and he talks about how if humans were treated differently their whole life, you know, what would come of that? And it goes to Oliver teaching this kid that red is the color green and green is the color red.
Yeah.
And then he like sends him out in the street.
He's like, remember, green means go and red means stop, but they're mixed in his head.
Yeah.
And so when what to us is red, he knows is green, and he just walks and gets hit by a car.
And Oliver is just like, God damn it. And like pulls out a pad and starts writing down.
He makes
like
the funniest face.
You're like, what? Like, it's like he's taking notes like this is an experiment that's happened before.
Oh, well.
That didn't work out.
Like I was it almost looked like he was half expecting it, but he was hoping it would be different. And he's like,
yeah,
well.
exactly. It's like you would expect that, but he looked like he was hoping for different results.
Yeah. But then he just didn't really care when it was the same.
Is a delusion in itself.
It's crazy. All right. So we have to wrap up.
We got to wrap up?
We got to wrap up. It's late. And Chris is texting.
Okay. Well, we have to talk about this real quick.
Okay.
We have to talk about Lenny when she shows up with Amahl Farouk.
Mm-hmm.
And she's being all crazy, sketchy and shit. And they're in the astral field. And she's just like asking for another body. Like you kind of, this is the moment you actually realize that Lenny is like a separate entity.
Yeah.
You know, completely. That he's used as one of his pawns. And she's like, come on, just like send me back. You can make me a new body. And she's being crazy as shit and like trying to be a conniving as well.
She's begging.
And he's like, okay, I give you a new body. You live again. What would you do? I live the shit out of that body. And then what? And I'd probably die again. And then what? And that scene,
it got intense.
That shit was so like, oh my God.
It got so intense.
Just the haunting philosophy of that.
Yeah.
Holy shit.
Yeah.
It's just like, oh, you're just going to come back here again?
Yeah.
You're going to die again? I'm not going to fucking do this every time. That's like
crazy.
kind of the point he was making, you know?
He's like, you're better off here. He was manipulating her too, though.
Yeah.
Because now we realize she's captive and she can't move on.
It's fucking so scary.
It's crazy.
That shit's scary. You wouldn't think that you would be feeling a little, you know, those feelings toward Lenny.
Yeah. But then you're just like, oh no, she's trapped too.
Yeah. Okay, another thing.
I loved how she called out the haunted house thing and like did all that.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was awesome.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
Okay, so Carrie is trying to separate themselves.
Yeah.
And so they sing that song from Man Carrie's like childhood.
Yeah.
And they separate. And then Woman Carrie has that like rogue stripe in her hair.
Oh, yeah.
Which is like a common thing for like big occurrences or like big moments in like with Rogue or like in the Fantastic Four with Reed Richards as well.
Yeah.
It's kind of like a change in a character, I feel like.
Yeah. It's like the physical change that represents
yeah, so I'm like wondering what the fuck's gonna go on with that as well, because I feel like that's representing
she's gonna become like her own person.
Yeah, I think so.
And like become independent of the other Carrie.
That's gonna be
It's like separated them.
I'm scared. I love them.
I know, I love them too. It's gonna be interesting character development.
Yeah, for sure.
It's gonna be really interesting.
Probably gonna be fucking comedic as shit.
I think so. I think so.
Okay. So after that, the woman's like, what is her name? Melanie Bird. She's talking to Legion. It's like, get the fuck out of here. Have a simple life. You know, the world's going to keep on going. And then it's the high rise with the fucking kitty cat and Sid, and they're talking, and he reveals Dan Stevens, David reveals to Sid like that her future self like said to help Amahl Farouk find his body. And she's like, well, do it then. You trust me, right? And it's like, what the fuck? Yeah. Oh! And then you see the monk in the club, right?
Yeah.
Oh, no, you see the monk with the chattering teeth.
The chattering teeth room.
All the chattering teeth, which is what made me think again of that he must be traveling. He must be following Oliver or something, because Oliver, remember, was outside of the door earlier in the episode of all the people.
I think Oliver was looking for him and he just didn't, or Farouk was looking for him and he just saw all the people and they're hiding him in there. And is it General?
It's a scary room to have,
dude. It's terrifying. I honestly don't know how they're grinding. They're not just grinding those teeth down to oblivion.
Yeah, just gums.
It's just they would all be gum.
Yeah. Sounds like a dream.
That whole show is a goddamn dream.
Truth. Okay, guys. Until next week. I hope you didn't hate us last week. We were really excited and we just kind of...
we went for it.
We were going crazy.
We went for it.
But anyway, keep on watching Legion. Follow us on Instagram at Coming of Age Pod, and go to our Twitter at Coming of Age Pod _.
Yes.
And you can find us on YouTube and SoundCloud and Stitcher and Apple.
Yep. All under Coming of Age.
And subscribe, write a review.
Tell us what you think.
Tell us what you think. You know, give us some criticism nicely.
Yeah. Please be nice. Please. Or we have fragile egos.
But we love you guys. Thank you for listening. Goodbye.
Goodbye.